This interview is brought to you by Dead Man Works Tattoos and Body Piercing in Chilliwack, British Columbia, Canada. Make sure you give the dead man a jingle dingle the next time you want a skin doodled in. Hello, world. Welcome to the Fonz's office. Today, I've got another super special guest with me. His name is Randy the Moose Mahon. He is a Canadian mixed martial artist, and I have the pleasure of being able to speak with him today, and all of you out there in the world get to listen. Randy, how are you doing, my man?
Not too bad. Yourself?
I'm doing really well, thank you. Thank you for making some time to come and talk with me today. We're kind of open with discussion this morning, so how have you been doing? How have you been keeping over this last year? You've been doing okay?
Yeah, no, I've been doing okay. Just kind of fixing some injuries and stuff that I've had for the past and whatnot, trying to heal those up, and still coaching and training and stuff on a daily basis. So really, my life hasn't really changed a whole lot. I'm still living life normal. So these restrictions that people are having, I can't say I really understand because my life hasn't changed.
And you know what? I understand that as well. With myself being an at-home dad, it hasn't really affected me a whole lot myself either, except that I get a bit more family time now than what I was before. So
Yeah.
that seems to be a bonus. You had mentioned you're nursing, or you've had some injuries and you're looking after those. Does that mean there's potential that you're thinking about fighting again?
Yeah. Once we kind of went down in that first lockdown and everything did get shut down at the beginning of all this. I think that was what my body finally needed, was for me just to stop, because I hadn't really stopped in quite a few years. I was always training or doing what I could, never just stopping. And when I stopped, all of a sudden pains went away, especially the neck injury, which was the biggest concern. A lot of things got better with that. So we were kind of thinking about it and started training, getting back into shape. And then one day we were just doing some drills, and all of a sudden I felt a pop up in my shoulder, kind of bicep area. And I thought,
Yeah.
oh, I think I might have torn my bicep. I was like, whoa, because it burned really bad, but we looked and my bicep was still there. So we're like, okay, maybe we just strained it, but it didn't get better. It was only getting worse. So I finally went in, had some scans done, and it turned out that I did tear the bicep, but I didn't tear it horizontal. I had vertical tears inside. And because of that and the constant inflammation, my body was constantly shooting calcium in to try to heal.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up building up a lot of calcium inside the muscle fibers and inside the AC joint itself. So
Wow.
I just recently had a scope done to get some pain medication in there to start trying to eat away at that calcium, to hopefully we can avoid the surgery and whatnot too. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that helps out and we can get back on track and start kind of worrying about the weight and getting weight off, and then potentially maybe taking offers when they start coming out later on this year, if things open up here.
Right. Well, things have opened up in British Columbia, so there's potential for fighting out here. But I fully understand that with nursing injuries and healing those up, that when you're considering making, I don't want to call it a comeback, but when you're considering fighting again, you want to make sure that your first performance back is going to be one that you're going to be happy with, as well as your team, and hopefully that the fans will be happy with as well. So I understand wanting to make sure that you're going to be in that moose shape to come back so that the world is going to be ready to watch you fight again.
Yeah.
Would you consider fighting out here, or are you tied to a promotion right now? If you do come back, are you available to fight for any promotion right now?
I am currently a free agent. I can fight anywhere I want. I actually really enjoyed going out to BC last time. I didn't realize how well known even I was, and how many people knew who I was out there. So it was nice to go out there and to compete. It's granted it was enemy territory per se, but it really didn't feel that way too. Plus, I have a lot of family out there myself, so I would consider it. But I got into the sport to travel the world, hopefully. And so really I would take fights wherever they could. Granted, with how things have been leading up to the end of what was supposed to be the end of my career, I got to rebuild a little bit there before I could probably venture out. So hopefully take a couple fights wherever they come, whether it's in BC or Alberta, and then kind of go from there.
Excellent, excellent. And you're willing to travel to the States for fights as well, or?
Yep. No, I would travel down to the States too. There's a lot more options down there than there is up here. The only downfall is just having to deal with restrictions of travel and whatnot, because I guess they would border and all that stuff. So
yeah, that's it is a challenge. With I believe there's still a 2-week quarantining coming back into Canada if you were to go to the States. I don't know how that is all going to change in the near future, or if it's going to change. But yeah, it's the potential is there, but there are a few more hurdles to cross if fighting in the States is in the near future. So, but with Canada starting to open up and the potential of coming here, would you like to throw maybe a couple? I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything, but are there any names maybe that you're thinking, or maybe if you don't want to mention names, is there like a classification of a fighter that you'd be looking to fight? Someone new, someone who's a veteran? What would be your ideal opponent?
So after talking with my coach and stuff like that, we kind of figured most of my career has been fighting some of the tougher guys in the country and not really saying no to some of these offers and stuff like that. And if I had to say no, it was due to injuries or stuff like that. So we figured, maybe not necessarily take a step back in competition, but take a step back in the purpose of the competition. So more so maybe a couple fights with guys that are just looking to have fun. They're not looking to try to make it to the UFC and stuff like that. Maybe even guys my age type deal too. And then kind of go from there. And as far as names for out in the BC area, no, I don't have any names out there. That's kind of the part of me that I wanted to let go is some of the animosity feelings, because I felt like that maybe that would play effect into my performances, because one of my biggest issues is mental. I'm not always mentally there, and I think in some of my past fights you can see that, and then there's some where you can see where I'm mentally there, and you can see it in my performance. So I kind of want to take those ill wills out, because if I fight again, it's for two reasons. The selfish reasons for myself, but the other one is also just to kind of show my kids that you can still do things. There's not a set real limit to what you can do as long as you work hard.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with that fully. I have a motto of my own, that I can do anything positive that I put my mind to, and so can you. That's part of my motto that helps me get through challenging times in my life, and to help me pick myself back up when I knock myself down, because I'm my own worst enemy, and then to continue on. So I admire that from you, and I respect that fully. That's awesome. Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate that, Jeff.
Now you are a fighter. You're also a teammate and a coach. You work alongside with Isaiah McLovin, and he's got a fight coming up this Saturday, June 5th, with BTC Fight Promotion in Vancouver, British Columbia. Are you going to be out here with Isaiah in his corner for this fight?
I will be making the trip this time around to help him out. Last time, unfortunately, my child was born 2 days before he fought, so I wasn't able to make that trip. But I will be there this time for sure to help him out, as me and him have kind of created a training partner, kind of coaching, mentoring kind of bond type deal, with kind of me passing on from my experiences and stuff through the sport and stuff like that down to him.
Right.
So I kind of help him out with he calls me his striking coach, and it is a striking that I help him with, but I help him with the MMA side of striking, just because there's so many different versions of striking. You have boxing, we have kickboxing and whatnot, and MMA is a different style of striking because you have to mix in the grappling, the clinching, the grinding, shooting, takedowns, all that stuff. So there's certain times, certain places where you will throw certain strikes and when you shouldn't be throwing them and whatnot, and that's kind of where I come into play to help him out and whatnot.
Absolutely awesome. With the MMA striking also comes MMA defense, which is a lot different than just defending someone in boxing or in kickboxing, because you have strikes coming from all directions and from all limbs, essentially. Are you helping Isaiah with his defensive style as well?
I am myself and actually his Muay Thai coach, Gray Patino. We've been working a lot closer here lately with trying to tie in some of those technical flaws that they were in the past in his game, and bring in the techniques of the Muay Thai with the MMA too, so we can avoid maybe like a Russ knee type deal situation.
Correct. Yeah, that was a devastating cut that opened up as a result of that knee. For yourself, when you saw that fight ending that way, how was that for you as a as a friend, as a training partner of Isaiah's? Like that, for me, that was devastating watching that happen. And I have full respect for Russ. I really like the guy, and I'm excited about his career as well. But with that said, being a friend of Isaiah's and seeing that happen, for me, it was hard seeing that happen, because I really wanted to see that fight continue to go on. Can you speak a little bit towards that?
It was actually really hard to see it happen as a friend, but as a coach too. It was kind of funny while I was sitting in my room watching the fight while my wife was trying to deal with our two youngest children. My oldest was kind of sitting with me. We were kind of watching it, and I was almost kind of cornering him per se while I was watching it. So I was more so being there as a coach than as a fan watching it and whatnot. And when I saw that knee land, I knew it had landed good, but I didn't know how bad it was until really once they started moving on the ground and I seen how much blood there was. Then I knew it was bad. But I wasn't sure if it was a nose or what at the time.
Right.
But to see that much blood and then to see the cut afterwards, it did bother me. One, as a friend, because you care about somebody too, but also as a friend and as coach, because I understand the problems a cut like that can cause. It's in a bad place, and if a cut like that were to open back up again, there's a good chance I could stop a fight again. Right. And like Isaiah said, it's not necessarily was he hurt, but the cut was there, so it had to happen. And even if he gets cut again and he's not hurt, but it opens up bad and that blood's in the bad spot, that can cause you a fight again. So that concerned me too.
Sure, absolutely. He was speaking with Isaiah and watching post fight. That cut healed rather quickly, for how bad that cut was. It seemed to heal up pretty quickly, and it's looking like it's doing really well. How do you think that is going to come into play with this fight coming up this Saturday?
I'm hoping it really doesn't. Where with what we're hoping he will do in the fight, hopefully that won't be an issue with that opening up. Sure. Just because anything can happen still. Scars are scars. They'll open in weird ways. But no, it did heal fairly quick. Bill was on him right from the day one that he got back to the gym and was making sure he was taking all the right ointments and stuff to help heal that up and kind of toughen that skin back up as best we possibly can. And then we were just doing the best we could, avoiding it for a period of time. And then the last couple of weeks, it just was like, all right, it's time to go back to work. It's not like we're necessarily trying to work that area, but if it gets hit and if it opens up, well, now we know. But it seemed to hold. It seemed to hold. So granted, we're not throwing elbows and knees at each other's head when we're training, but we're still punching and kicking and all that stuff too, and grappling anything can happen in grappling. So
absolutely it can. Yeah, cuts do open up. Things break. Sprains. Grappling is definitely intense on the body.
there's nothing gentle about it.
No. Now you guys out at Champion Gym, you obviously you wouldn't be sending Isaiah into battle if he wasn't prepared. So he's healed. He's mentally ready. I spoke with him the other day, and he is hungry for this fight as well. I know he's got an incredible team behind him, and that's backing him. He's got good sponsors behind him that are backing him and helping him make it out to this fight as well. But that team aspect that's there at Champion Gym, you guys got a lot of good fighters there, and you got a really good team atmosphere as well. With backing fighters like Isaiah and that team aspect, how does that for you as a coach going into corner a fighter, knowing that he's got that good solid training behind him? That must put some confidence as a coach as well.
No, it does. It gives you the confidence that he's going to understand what it is you're saying to him. You have guys that come in and they're spotty in their training. They're in a couple days out of the week type deal, and it's not guaranteed they're going to understand maybe the language that you're talking to them. And that's where problems could come in. Whereas with Isaiah, he's there every day. Even when we have to tell the kid to go home, go home, take a break, like chill out, relax, things like that. And there's so many of us that are there that are coaching, that are good coaches too, that he's learned all the lingo from all of us, that he knows with any one of us in his corner, he knows what we're saying to him. And having that confidence that he understands this makes it better, makes it easier. It makes it feel like I'm kind of more of just like a spotter in a NASCAR race versus say a head coach in a football game.
Right. Interesting way to put that. That's I can relate to that as well. Very cool. So for the fans that are watching this interview right now, Isaiah's fight again is this Saturday in Vancouver, British Columbia, and it's available for pay-per-view at btcfight.ca/live. The pay-per-view costs $35, but there is an option to purchase through a fighter and to support the fighters on the card, and the price of the pay-per-view is only $25. You get a savings of $10, and you throw your support behind a fighter. And it has been brought to my attention that those fighters that you support get a little cut of the pie. So if you don't have a favorite fighter on the card, I'm going to suggest that you choose Isaiah Medituk's name. You get the $10 off. He gets a little bit of ching into his pocket because of it. And yeah, everybody wins in that scenario. Now, you're going to be there for these fights, but Isaiah mentioned that the fighters aren't allowed to stay to watch the next fights. You guys, there's a strict protocol in place because of the whole COVID thing, and you guys get called down. You have your time, and then you're removed from the, well, not removed, but you guys have to leave the arena and go back to your rooms. But you will be able to watch the other fights on the card. Are there any other fights on this BTC 10 event that you're looking forward to watching?
There's a few. I'm actually really interested in watching all of the Tuxedo guys and girls come to fight, because they always perform really well, and they're fun to watch as a fan of the sport. And not necessarily am I friends with these people, but I do know who they are. I've competed on some cards with them, so I've seen them compete before. So it's cool to see the evolution of how they've evolved too. So that'd be really interesting to see. And then also the main event. That one I'm really interested in as a fan of the sport, more so than anything, truly. Both guys have very, I don't want to say similar styles per se, but they're both entertaining styles.
Yes.
And it's going to be a chess match. I believe Lucas is a little bit more fleet-footed. He'll move around a little bit more and use his footwork, where Josh is kind of more of, he's in the pocket, short little angles and tight angles too. So it's going to be a very interesting match with the stand-up. The ground game, that one, I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure. I'm probably going to lean towards Josh if it hits the ground, just because I do understand. I know who his training partners are and his coaches are with his grappling,
Right.
and I felt the grappling.
Right.
Whereas I haven't done that with Lucas myself
Yeah.
as much as I really wanted to, but we just never got that opportunity to, unfortunately. But no, I believe it's going to be a really good, interesting fight. And as a fan, I'm very, very intrigued to watch that fight go down.
Yeah, myself included. Both two top competitors in Canada, both on the brink of breaking through into the big leagues, so to speak. And this fight could really boost one or even both. If they both put on one of those fight of the year performances,
yep.
There really is no loser in a bout like that. And I'm kind of foreseeing a fight like that, that this is, like you had mentioned, this is going to be a chess match. It's going to be a back and forth match, and one that all the fans are really going to enjoy.
Yes, I absolutely agree too. I see it having that potential to be fight of the night, fight of the year kind of candidate style of fight for Canada. It's either going to be that, or it's going to be something like Lucas catches Josh in a submission early on, or Josh does what he's done lately and he catches you early on.
Yeah.
Like he says with his hands, he tends to hit you, and all of a sudden your legs start, his opponent's legs start doing funny things. So
yeah, absolutely. He does have that superpower, and I like to refer to it as, and absolutely has that fight finishing ability early on, as does Lucas with his style as well. And I think these two match up very well for a very entertaining fight for all of the fans out here that are going to be watching. Another fighter that is in Champion Gym has a fight coming up. Do you mind speaking a little bit about Alex Martinez? He's got a PFL fight coming up on June 10th, if not mistaken. And it is my understanding that Bill will not be in Vancouver with Isaiah, because he will be in that bubble getting ready for to be coaching Alex in his PFL fight. How is it training at Champion with Alex, and being someone that supports him on this higher level at PFL?
It's really cool. It's kind of surreal in a way, because it's always been kind of, well, Grand Prairie is a small town where nobody really, you go to work and that's about all that happens. So it's kind of cool to see, especially in the fighting realm, because MMA is still not very big up in Grand Prairie. We've only got maybe 6 professional fighters in the whole city, 7 maybe at most. It's still very small in that sense. So it's really cool to see Alex go to where he has, especially when I joined and I started training with Alex. I believe he was only 4-2 as an amateur when I started training with him. So to see where he's progressed into the heights he's reached already is cool. But at the same time, I'm not surprised. I seen this coming per se too. I was kind of saying 2 years ago that I could see Alex really making it all the way. He has the potential. He has the drive. And then to get the opportunity he has right now against somebody like an Anthony Pettis, a former UFC light heavyweight champion, or a lightweight champion, sorry. I don't see anything bad coming out of this for Alex. It's only good no matter what happens. Granted, I really believe Alex can knock Anthony out in this fight, considering especially the tournament setup with only having 8 weeks in between fights. Granted, Alex's last fight was a grindy fight, but I don't believe Alex took a lot of damage through that fight. Myself, I haven't had a chance to talk with him since then. Truly, he's been down in Las Vegas training at Syndicate ever since, just because with quarantines and all that, it just made zero sense to come back. Basically, he'd lose out on almost a month worth of training being stuck in quarantine. So he stayed down there. So I don't believe he took a whole lot of damage. Whereas you look at the Pettis fight, Pettis was damaged early on in that fight, and a few times, and hit hard, and then had to go out for another 10 minutes afterwards and fight to that decision and still lose. 8 weeks is not a lot of time to recover. And Alex hits hard and he's long and he's aggressive. So I see Alex finishing Anthony.
Yeah, beautiful. That's pretty much along the same lines as how I'm seeing this fight happen. Of course, Showtime, he's got his own style, and
Yep.
he is very energetic and enthusiastic when he's in there. He's got some very good movements as well. And watching Alex and his last few fights, I'm really pulling for him. And I really think he's got the abilities and the know-how to get it done. And he's definitely got the gym behind him, both up here in Canada as well as down in the States as well, that are getting him extremely well prepared for this battle. And he's got a very bright future ahead of him as well.
No, he does, and I'm proud of that guy.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Randy, we're getting near the end of time here. Is there anything else you would like to add into this interview today? Are there any people you'd like to mention or anything, or anything coming up for you? Anything goes, man. Whatever's going on with you.
Well, first and foremost, if anybody's looking to watch any fights this weekend, especially this Saturday, and you're looking to watch local kind of Canadian fighting, definitely tune into the BTC card and go through Isaiah if you can. Save the $10, and he gets a little bit of money out of it too. With guys not having the crowds there right now, promoters aren't able to pay the way they were in the past, so guys are having to fight for a lot less right now. And they're more so fighting to gain that experience. So every little bit can help out with the training and all that, because it's expensive when you're trying to do this full time and do it properly, right, which Isaiah's trying to do. So it builds that up and whatnot too. So that'll help out. And then same with next weekend too. Next Friday, on June 10th, Friday night, tune in on I believe TSN in Canada will be showing it. But Alex's fight with PFL, definitely tune into that. And then myself too. Any promoters that are looking for a 145er come the fall in Canada, give me a call. I'll be ready.
Awesome. I love that. We'll definitely put that out to the promoters. Hopefully things start opening up a little bit more here in Canada and more provinces start putting on events. I believe that is what is in our next few 5 to 6 months, and I believe by the end of this year we'll see a lot of combat sports coming out of Canada once again. And it's really, really awesome to hear that you're considering being part of that as a fighter as well. And if that happens before the end of the calendar year, Randy, I am super excited to be watching that fight, man.
Well, thanks, Jeff. I'll definitely be putting on a show as I always try to, and I can definitely guarantee you, though, it would be a different guy you see in there now. My training's changed a lot now with what I do. There's a purpose behind it now. Yeah. So everything I do is always it's the same in my training. So, and that's what I plan on doing when I go to fight now is to show off what I was truly good at, and versus necessarily worrying about putting on the performance that everybody loved. I got to worry about winning first and foremost, but I promise you, people will really enjoy it when they watch it.
Excellent. That's a beautiful way to end off, my friend. And yeah, I'll be right there with my money ready to pay for any fight card that you're on. And I'm sure that a lot of our fellow friends out here in Canada feel the exact same way. They want to see the Moose get back in there onto that combat surface and throw down, and at the end of the night have that arm raised in victory, my friend. So Randy, I appreciate you making the time today, coming on to the Fonz's office, having a little chat, letting the people out there in Canada and the rest of the world know where you're at right now, as well as the support that you're putting behind the fighters at Champion Gym out there in Grand Prairie, Alberta. I just want to say a thank you to my sponsor, Dead Man Works Tattoos and Body Piercing in Chilliwack, British Columbia, Canada. Make sure you give the dead man a jingle dingle the next time you want a skin doodle did. I am Jeff Lott, the super fan. This is Randy Moose Mahon, and we are signing out from the Fonz's office.